Hi there, everyone. I'm Claudia Lash, and I wanted to show today a remake of a pattern or a quilt and a pattern that I did these quilts, one of them in 2010. And I also did a video about this about 6 months ago. That was before I broke my arm. So I haven't done a whole lot, but I have had this project to work on when I was able to do more with sewing. Now that I have learned some things working on this, I thought I would let you in. This is the pattern that I started with. Well, I did this quilt and wrote this pattern in 2010. And I also did a video about it about, 6 months ago. And at that time, I took the general block, because I enjoyed making it, and I remade it in a little bit. So in this quilt, there are sort of a circle shape in the middle. Sort of a flower shape, I guess I would say. And then inside that, there was a curly Q. When I redid the blocks, I decided that that curly Q was a lot to work with. It was just extra cutting. So when I redid the blocks, I did them with just a circle in the middle. Here's one of the, here's a group of blocks. They're flowers. These are supposed to be sort of like leaves and just a circle in the middle. When you make these blocks, you have to use, well, you don't have to, but I use fabric that has fusible on the back, and so it's actually a positive negative kind of thing. The background fabric in all of these is this white with a little bit of little dots or big dots on it. So anyway, once you get these things fused down, then you use your decorative stitches on your sewing machine to go around the outer edges. So here's one of the blocks. When I do it, I usually make 16 blocks. So here's another, and on and on. And what I did after I have all these blocks made, I decided I did not want to put them all into one big quilt like I did in this quilt and like some of my other quilts. Instead, it's easier, or it's just a little different, to use them for different things like wall quilts. So for this quilt, I did this guy. Oh gosh, I don't know. It was before I broke my arm, because I got most of it done, and I learned some things as I did this. I wanted to let you know about, and I may have done a little video on that, but one of the things that I learned as I did this was the quilting. In the past, I have usually done just free motion quilting in all of the open areas. When I did these, I thought, this is kind of hard to keep it regular. I don't know how well you can see these, but these have circles and a circle inside, and when you're doing free motion, some come out a little bigger than others. This one up here uses decorative stitching for the quilting, and I thought, oh, I really like that. It works very well, and the only thing that you have to move under your machine is one block, so it's pretty easy to work on. Now then, I had 4 blocks that I've used. I have 12 more blocks to use. So I decided I would use 4 other blocks and make like a table runner. I'm not sure my table runner will quite have this much border around it. I made it big because I always try to leave myself open for whatever options I come up with as I work on something. And I still may take this down to about 2 inches. I don't want it to be too big. But I was working on this while I've been recuperating with my hand. My hand is getting its feeling back, but it's difficult, very difficult for me to, I can move things through the machine, but as far as touching the buttons on my machine, I have to use 2 hands almost to do that. And I'm only telling you that because I think if you've got any sort of arthritis or any sort of issues with your hands, stick with it and keep trying, and you will find ways to make it all work, I think. Now, my quilting on this is not that great, but I worked and worked, and I started to do something very intricate and tried to come up with an idea that I thought was really going to be very neat, and then I thought, no, don't do that. You have enough trouble just doing regular free motion quilting right now. Let's stick with something you already know. And so that's what these big swirl things I've done a long time. So doing the swirl things were good to kind of give me the confidence to move on to something else. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is the same stitch. It's just big circle, little circle. But on my machine, I can set it to do that stitch. So then I have to switch my things around. And I was worried with a big, long piece like this, how easy it would be to move that under the throat or you know, in my little area, and I just took it slowly and it worked. So in this process, you can do some free motion. You can do, I did free motion here and just some free motion there. Here's another place where I did a machine stitch, and I don't know what the number is, but I could turn it around. Now it's a little more difficult when it's a new stitch that you haven't maybe done, or if it's in the middle of a quilt. And if I were doing a huge big wall quilt, I would not suggest that you try that unless you do it block by block. This is another one that worked really pretty well on the empty space right here. So then I switched back and forth. I had free motion in places, free motion here, but using some machine stitches with my machine worked really with just my quilting thread in there. I thought it really did a nice job. I am ready to quilt the outer thing, and I think I'm going to do like a big, back and forth, kind of a ribbony looking thing, sort of like the edge of a rickrack, a wavy stitch, there you go. And just to kind of mimic the rickrack. And by the way, the rickrack is another thing. I kind of wondered about putting the rickrack on. How would I do that? When I just had these blocks, and should I sew these pieces on and then put the rickrack on? You know, it was like, which will be the easiest? What I did was I sewed the whole thing together. Well, I sewed this block to this, this, you know, and then sewed them together, and then thought, well, if I put my rickrack here and then I go there and I have to turn it and come, that would be really bulky. So I put rickrack on, well, it looks like I did from down there to down there, put a strip here, a strip down here, and there. And then I went back and did one just sitting on top of the other one. And I think that worked fairly well. There is some bulk right in here, or some down in there, but I think it's going to be okay. So that's what oh, and one more thing before I stop. One more thing, when I do this wavy stitch, I plan to just might move out about an inch and maybe use my some part of my machine to guide that. But on each corner, I drew a chalk line from the middle, or from the inside point to the outside point. This will guide me when I'm doing that wavy stitch, because when I get to the corner here, I will stitch until I get to that line, and then with my needle down, turn around the quilt and start coming down this way. So those are all little tips and bits of what I am working on now. I still have 8 more blocks. Now these have all been machine stitched around, so the heart, or the time-consuming part, is finished. Now I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, whether they will become placemats or whether they will become a small wall quilt or whatever. But we'll wait and see. This is, I don't have a name for it yet. If you think of a good name for flowers that are in, I don't know. So we'll wait and see what happens with my newest project. That I am so glad that I have something that I can work on, and working on it will hopefully increase my muscle dexterity in the end. So thanks for watching my rambling on about this this new thing that I'm doing.